Processing hundreds of dense legal scenarios within a rigid 5-hour window degrades cognitive function minute by minute, turning the assessment into a high-stakes endurance trial. Candidates with exceptional legal recall routinely fail this exam. They arrive with necessary knowledge, yet still select wrong answers as the session progresses. This graph tracks candidate performance. While legal knowledge stays flat, decision accuracy plummets. At the 2-hour mark, metabolic depletion triggers a red danger zone. The brain exhausts its energy reserves, and the likelihood of fatal errors spikes. Surviving this environment requires treating mental stamina as a technical requirement, just as vital as understanding the law of property or trusts. By deconstructing the mental architecture, we pinpoint fatigue-induced errors and implement a system to survive. We must view the 5-hour testing window as a physical event. Processing complex legal text consumes high levels of glucose and oxygen in the prefrontal cortex. This timeline shows the exam's progression. At the 120-minute mark, the brain shifts into a decision fatigue phase. Every complex scenario processed here extracts a metabolic cost, pulsating with high energy demand and depleting reserves for the final hours. Success requires a shift from passive memorization to technical execution under pressure. You are no longer a student. You are an operator managing a system. When the brain enters an energy preservation state, memory retrieval becomes sluggish. The speed at which you access high-yield principles drops significantly as the body prioritizes basic function. The SQE1 intentionally places dense administrative law hurdles at this point of maximum depletion, banking on your inability to maintain focus. Acknowledging this engineered degradation is the first step in managing it. You move from being a victim of fatigue to a manager of your remaining cognitive resources. Mental focus is a finite resource. In a 5-hour trial, it must be allocated with strict discipline. This triage system sorts questions based on complexity. By categorizing scenarios into fast, moderate, or deep analysis pathways, you ensure you aren't wasting maximum effort on a simple identification question. The danger here is the cognitive sunk cost fallacy. Spending 5 minutes on a single, impossibly dense question will drain the power needed to answer the next 5 questions correctly. To prevent this, you must apply a hard time cap per question. When the limit is reached, you disconnect from the problem and move to the next sequence to protect your energy reserves. This strategy utilizes rapid-fire identification of high-yield principles. You scan for specific legal triggers rather than reading for narrative depth. This allows you to bypass engineered distractors, the noise in the question, without spending the cognitive energy required to process them. Systematic triage preserves your high-level executive function specifically for the complex scenarios that require deep analytical reasoning. Your physical body is the hardware that supports your cognitive software. If the hardware is neglected, the software will lag. Precise nutrient timing is a requirement for a 5-hour window. A heavy sugar spike followed by a crash will undermine the most rigorous study. Similarly, hydration must be managed in cycles. Dehydration lowers neural firing rates, but poor timing leads to unnecessary distractions during critical testing blocks. The transition screens between sections are not just breaks, they are opportunities for active physiological intervention. Using box breathing in 4-second intervals during these gaps actively resets the autonomic nervous system, preventing anxiety. This mechanical control lowers the heart rate, clears cortisol, and synchronizes the nervous system for the next block. To combat mid-session fog, utilize sensory grounding. Simple physical checks like feeling the pressure of your feet on the floor pull focus to the present. Physiological regulation is a prerequisite to analysis. If the hardware crashes, the software cannot run. Examiners use trap patterns specifically designed to catch candidates during periods of low focus. These questions look straightforward, but rely on a single, easily missed word. This interface reveals how a trap is structured. By highlighting the core legal facts and separating them from distractors, we can see how the question weaponizes a tired candidate's assumptions. To defend against this, you apply a verification checklist. This mechanically cross-references the facts you've identified against the legal principles you're applying, ensuring no step is skipped. Using a mechanical checklist removes the burden of willpower. You don't have to try harder to focus. You simply follow established steps of the protocol. This allows you to shift toward the single best answer logic. The goal isn't to find the most theoretically perfect answer, but the one that most closely fits the examiner's criteria. This logic dramatically simplifies complex administrative law questions by forcing you to look for the most defensible option among the 5 choices provided. By externalizing the fact-checking process into a mechanical protocol, you add a layer of verification less susceptible to the cognitive fog of the final hour. In the final hour, your body's metabolic signaling will aggressively demand completion. The urge to rush through the remaining questions just to finish is a significant risk. Revisiting the accuracy curve, the outcome changes. Entering the final hour, the decision accuracy curve resists the sharp drop seen in the unmanaged baseline, maintaining predictable precision. This is the precision exit strategy, a protocol designed to sustain your performance right up to the final submission. If you have time to review flagged questions, use a fresh eyes methodology. Reread the question as if for the first time to avoid falling back into the same cognitive loops that caused the initial doubt. During this phase, you must strictly avoid overthinking. If your initial triage was sound, do not allow the fatigue of the final hour to talk you into second-guessing your work. Integrating strategic pacing, physiological management, and systematic triage fundamentally alters the nature of the assessment. This entire operational system must be consolidated and repeated without deviation for the second day of testing. Passing the SQE1 is ultimately a triumph of systematic precision over a 5-hour cognitive onslaught. By mastering the mental architecture of the exam, you ensure your legal knowledge is never undermined by fatigue.